Okay, here's an odd one for you. In South Africa, at this Nekhosh hospital, which I'll show you a picture of here in a moment, they have a case that is baffling everybody, police, the staff, just everybody. There's a story of a man that disappeared that they had just done surgery on, and they couldn't find him. And then they found him 6 days later dead, trapped up in the ceiling. Now, this is not one of those ceilings that you just do the little pop-up thing and get up into. He had to be cut out. This is the exact spot. This is one of the crime photos, if you will. And they found him 6 days later after just about giving up because a stain started to appear on the ceiling over there from his fluids. And they went to check into it, and there was a smell associated with it. And they actually had to cut this out. Now, one thing I want you to look at here is that right here, the beams coming down in cross beams that are across there, where this actually is right in the eave and overhang in the interior of the building. And what's baffling them is that there's no real way to get to this. You would have to crawl through this hole over here. You'd have to crawl through this hole over here all the way through somehow like this to try to get in there up below these rafters here that are just 18 inches up or so, and cutting across repeatedly through the ceiling. They're here, but they're here, and then there's another set here, there's another set here, and so it's at like the even overhang of your house, so there's no room up in there. And so he had to have been put from the bottom, but yet the ceiling had the original masking. You can see this stuff here that had the original masking here whenever they had to tear down and pull the sheetrock out of it. It's just it's the oddest story, and it's baffling everybody. What had happened? So you look into it. Here's the hospital here. Um, it's a South African hospital, and a South African man had had an operation on his stomach, and so they had sedated him afterwards. And whenever he was inside of his room here, the nurse had come in, and then she left to get more sheets and all the stuff that she brings in to do for each room that she does. And when she came back in less than a minute later, he was gone. And they couldn't figure out where he went. And they tried to figure it out. And the man couldn't have gotten up. He was sedated to the point that he couldn't have been awake or moved. And then if he tried to move, his stomach had just been worked on with his muscles all screwed up, and it just wasn't going to happen. So, um, definitely an odd thing here. See if I can scoot forward to a good picture. So it's this operating room here that they're at. Um, it has the pop-up ceilings that we're talking about, but when you get to the edge of the building where it comes down, there's an atrium set in the middle of it, and it kind of does an L shape or whatever. And at the interior part of that building there, that's where he was found, up in the inside, but in the interior of the building, in a rafter set. And it just the oddest thing in the world, y'all. You could look into this here, try to find it more. There's this South African place, hospital, and they had found this guy again up in the ceiling here. And it seems to be like a spontaneous teleportation type of thing. Somebody would have to have taken him and put him up in there, but there's fiberglass all up in there. I don't know if you saw the picture a second ago. There's fiberglass all up in there, and there's no signs of him having done it. And then when they went up in there to try to investigate from the other side, they couldn't get to it. It was like you could get there, but you got to lay down and do all this stuff, and there's no signs that anybody did any of this. There's no sign of anybody going up there and making that trail, dragging somebody, or doing anything, and then trying to get it pulled over into that little pinch down triangle corner and up into that area there. It just makes no sense, and it's baffled police and the staff that are at the hospital here. They're talking about adding extra, systems in and stuff, but the cameras going down the hallway don't show anybody going in and out or anything whatsoever. So the guy would have had to have, it would have had to have done something like inside of the minute that she was gone, somebody would have had to picked up the body, jumped up through the ceiling and pulled it up, closed that up, and then of course you'll fall down if you put your weight on that ceiling. So it had to have been like at a wall or a corner, and then somehow make it through there over to where they found the body, and then shove it off into a thing, and then the body has no signs of mischief done to it at all that they report at this point. It just looks like it was just put up there and shoved up into a small little cubit area. It just does. It makes no sense, people. Yeah, it's just wild. All right, like and subscribe. Appreciate you.